Meh. I do want to see Clem versus Rogue. That would be pretty cool. And there is a Serral versus Innovation likelihood, so that is pretty cool too, actually. Anywho, finally into the game. It's now a best of 5 as we are in the semifinals. In the bottom left of Everdream, we have the red Protoss team, Liquid's Harstem. In the top right, as the blue Protoss for Team Warney, he is Rail. And he got here by 2-1ing mana and 2-0ing Geralts, which is a pretty nice PvP run. He continues his PvP against Harstem here in a best of 5. Harstem was able to take down Drogo 2-0, which is pretty impressive as well. PvP is kind of a... It seems like it's just a... Not luck, but whoever is playing has a chance to win. It's almost like the NA, anyone in NA can beat anyone in NA. Except when it comes to Protosses in the European region, any top 10 Protoss can beat any top 10 Protoss. There you go. That's the way I'm gonna put it. So it's like, I mean, sometimes it's a day-to-day thing. They're feeling hot and lucky for the PvP. Sometimes they really do just establish dominance. Like Showtime had 2 open cups where he won all of his PvPs, and I mean like 10 PvPs, not just like 1 or 2. And then other times it just is like, well, I mean, what actually happened in those games? I have no idea. You know, Max Pax beating people occasionally just because he thought up something new that no one had noticed before. So it happens. So I don't want to say that it's lucky, but it is so varied. And it has both elements of both skill and, to be honest, a bit of luck, that it still is one of those very difficult matchups to call and say, yes, this guy has the best PvP. I think it's very difficult to do. But right now, both of them are looking pretty good in PvP. So that's where we're at right now, at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time in this Open Cup. And we also see that Harstem is going to be going for a proxy robo. Now, this is the bold thing to do, okay? So this is not the first time we've seen this since the recent change, but it's bold for a few reasons, all right? First of all, Rail scouts it. The reason why he scouted it is because this is actually a very common place to proxy a robo. The other common place to proxy a robo, and actually, I guess, more common, maybe, for Harstem's side of the map. Anyways, it's either here or it's here, right? Either one, whatever position you're in. So that's a pretty easy place to scout. The second thing that makes it weird is that the overcharge literally came into this game, into this matchup, because of this build. So you have something that literally Blizzard put in to say, stop doing that. No. Smack your hand. And the third weird thing about it is that the Void Ray has unintentionally become an even stronger response. Now, a Void Ray is a strong response if it's back at home, but this is not back at home. This is actually going to be a little more awkward than that. Rail knows what the proxy robo, he clicked on it, he knows, absolutely. But he's going to go for a proxy Stargate, even still. I mean, if he hadn't, I guess there's only like 1 pylon at the time, but anyways. And he is going to be going for a proxy gateway. Now, the Void Ray starts up, but this is where things get really weird, because his production could be killed. But so could Harstem's. Harstem's production could be killed. Like, who's actually going to win out in this middle tug-of-war? Because they both want to protect their proxies. One of the weirder ways to play it. I still prefer Rail, though. I feel like this is just too good on the Void Ray player side. It was a fairly strong reaction before the Void Ray was cheapened, and now it's an even better reaction. A couple Stalkers from the backside of Rail catching Harstem Stalkers and taking the ultimately better trade there, that's for sure. Void Ray pops up and could go for the pylon or could help out against the Stalkers. Actually a little bit vulnerable though, actually not going for anything. It's just caught in the middle. Harstem maybe getting a little bit lucky there. Only gets a minimum amount of time to help out against the Stalkers, but the army supply is still ultimately in favor. Void Ray or not, actually. Harstem just was not able to actually use his production. He had 3 gateways, yeah, but he took multiple bad fights. And then he had a robo that was ever used. Not even for some, like, Warp Prism micro potential. Rail didn't even really win out because of the Void Ray. He just went out because he got the better end of multiple trades. And now Adepts are in the main, killing probes. This is the PvP of, you know, last year or something, where just proxies meet proxies, and it's really quite weird. Rail then adds on his own robo back at home. He's not going to bother using the Stargate anymore. Maybe he'll fit in an Oracle if these don't get depowered and the game actually goes on for a while, but... Harstem's Robo's going to get depowered and potentially even killed, leaving him without detection, without Immortals, without a Warp Prism. Could be weird. But, you know what made this so odd back in the day when the proxy versus proxy was common? Was that even when someone took a lead in the proxy wars, like Rail has, it's kind of still like, well, it's not like it's super game over yet. I mean, we're still talking about shield batteries, a little bit of defender's advantage that exists in PvP, and their economies really aren't that different because you both committed so hard to one base. It's really hard to do this and then also get a Nexus. But Rail undoubtedly has the army supply lead, and without defender's advantage, without a shield battery, there's no way that Harstem is going to win this fight. GG. He was hoping to get to the high ground with the choke, and Rail was just on the other side. So, that does it. That's how it was supposed to end. The alternative was that Harstem hold up in his main base, and then was contained. Had to go into like a Colossus to break the force field and the disruptors. We used to see that a long time ago. But he knew that he was in a terrible position. Pretty much since his Robo got scouted. Eternal Empire will be the battleground for Game 2. Gotta imagine we don't have proxies. I, ragged pretty hard on the idea of proxying a Robo against, in PvP nowadays, and I do still believe that it is ultimately not that great. I think it has, one, to do with the, cyclical nature of Starcraft 2 metas, where as soon as you stop expecting it, it becomes good again. And two, apparently when it isn't scouted, right? When it's not scouted, when you just see the missing pylon and that's it, and it's a big surprise, it is still effective. Because they don't have a shield battery, they don't have overcharge, they don't have preparations, right? So, I'm not going to be a fan of it for a while, as that's the second time I've seen it in the last couple of weeks, where it pretty much got bopped. But I don't want to say that that was like, oh, Harstem clearly is, terrible, right? Like, if anyone's taking it that way, absolutely not. He took a chance, he took a shot, he took a risk, which happens in a best of 5, and it didn't work out. So, now we go into a more macro map, and I think we'll see Harstem's, not cheesy side. And it's up right. It is Harstem down 0-1. In the bottom left, he is Rail. And we already have something a little bit different here. Harstem going for a Nexus first. So just one gateway. And the second one still ends up being a wall off. I think in a DreamHack cast, I was talking with Creighton, I think. And I just looked back at the base and assumed that it was a regular opener. And it was actually a Nexus first. Because I missed the first 2.5 minutes. It does actually end up kind of looking similar, but obviously you get that supercharged economy ahead of your opponent. Biggest discrepancy, cybernetics core timing, which means the technology is later, is going to be a very big problem for the defending Nexus player. However, if it's just a harassment-based proxy, which, you know, it pretty much is, most of the time nowadays, it's going to be a proxy Stargate, maybe a hidden Twilight Council. The proxy Robo, I just went over that last game, is not that great anymore. And then a proxy third gateway, of course, still exists. Of course, we saw Drogo do it. It's just a little bit more unlikely. So, yeah, if it's just a proxy Stargate, which is fairly common, and it is, in this case, a proxy Stargate, Harstem could theoretically still hold everything perfectly. He gets 2 stalkers between the main, or shield battery, and then 2 more stalkers, right? So when 2 oracles pop up, he's still safe. Shield battery in the natural, it's 200 minerals out of his pocket, but he has a much, much faster nexus. So he doesn't really mind 200 minerals out of his pocket. Pretty important scout here. Confirmation on the proxy, and also seeing that it is a void ray. So the void ray does add in a little bit of that more direct push power that a Stargate usually wouldn't have, because the void ray was like laughed at. But if it is going to be, and it is, the shield battery pressure, the shield battery push, all in, like the proxy shield batteries, there you go, then yeah, this actually could still be very threatening for Hearthstone. Very threatening indeed. I don't know if Rael did this based off of being like, hey, wait a second, you went for a Nexus first? Screw you. Or this is always his plan, but he is making it happen. Harstem not confident enough to push out and stop these shield batteries before they start. His stalkers are tracking adepts. They don't want to get overwhelmed. They don't want to be in a low number when the void actually does pop out. So unfortunately, he can't really nip it in the bud. So that means that Harstem just has to start accruing an army. Might be problematic. Counter Stargate would have been nice to have if Harstem had immediately gone into his own, but he did not. So he's just going with pure gateway units. And this could be, I don't know, potentially very difficult, right? Like, a counter Stargate wouldn't make it so much easier. You'd be talking about very similar situations. Both the shield batteries, both with similar Stargate production. Like, it wouldn't make it an immediate boppening, but it is going to be awkward when it's only stalkers without blink against what could eventually be 4 or 5 void rays. Even with just the 3 void rays. Smack alignment, it's a hell of a drug. Burns down stalkers real quick. Overcharge is popped, and Rael is going to wait for that to wear out before moving in. Now, he does not have Prismatic alignment on 2 of his void rays, so it was a little bit of a trade on their abilities, but 3 void rays even without Prismatic alignment could still be a little feisty. Keeping track of when overcharge comes off the cooldown. No more void rays, actually. Rael has stopped producing void rays and is going to be adding on to his own ground army. Some neat force fields. Oh, only grabbing 1 unit after all. Harstem is now going out on the Twilight Council looking towards that blink, but it is a ways off. Shield batteries once again helping out. Triple prismatic alignment does a hell of a lot of damage, but not so much focusing on the stalkers. Now it's starting to get into the focus fire. All the shield batteries have been drained. A 4th one's going to finish up here. Overcharge is available, and he's going to use it. So maybe he's going to hold for now, but that was a lot of lost stalkers. Only 5 stalkers and 4 sentries. The tickle beams, I don't know if they're going to be able to help as much. Shield batteries will start regenerating energy, and more shield batteries are on the way, which is the right call. Harstem with an insane economic lead. He just can't quite get to the number of units that he would like to defeat this. And after taking the loss of the stalkers without killing any of those void rays, it's actually looking a little bit problematic for Harstem. There's another force field really complicates his engagement. He's still not getting any damage on the void rays, and the void rays are now taking out the sentries as well. None of the shield batteries are actually really helping out, and so many of them are on the south side, not the north side. And that is going to be a locked out Harstem, and Rael, using that now 3rd option from the Stargate to actually go into the void rays, still set up his own proxy shield batteries, and punish Harstem for going for that Nexus first. Rael is playing some abusive, cutthroat. There we go, cutthroat PvP. Harstem never even got to blink, did he? Got Twilight Council, but nothing else to show for it. Void Ray does not go down, it just goes back into its own shield batteries, and another Void Ray also going back to its own shield batteries. Harstem cannot tear these numbers down. GG. Rael with the 2-0. Excellent choice of the Void Rays, man. It's that 3rd option, you gotta consider it now. hard to remember. It's hard to take it seriously. It's a goddamn void ray. Harstem needs 2 minutes, which is perfect, because I need to go grab a drink. Be right back. Anytime I get up, my cats are like, treats, 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 treats. No. Just pets. I'm excited to finally install my SSD when I get a chance. I didn't want to install it over this weekend because I don't trust Steam's cloud save for Resident Evil, which probably will finish tomorrow. It's not a very long game. Then I get to redo everything on my computer, get a fresh start. I might try and do it on Saturday after the cast. Let's see. Alright. Both players are ready to go. Rail is, as I said, the last game, being very cutthroat. Proxy Robo, nuh-uh. Nexus first, nuh-uh. And now we go into Death Aura, which, if Harstem wasn't going to try the Nexus first on Eternal Empire, I would have expected it here. I do wonder if a counter Stargate is actually the best answer. I'm not sure. You don't see that situation too often. In the top left, up 2-0, he is Rail. And already one of the farthest runs for him in this open bracket. He's about to go to the finals, which would be pretty sick. In the bottom right, as the red Protoss, he is Harstem. Also one of his longest runs in the open bracket. We are missing a couple of the staples, Showtime and Clem most notable. And then maybe some others that I don't usually, get to cast. They get knocked out before I get to them. But definitely Clem and Showtime being the most notable absences. One of them, playing in the season finals, might just want to be practicing. Another one might just be taking a break, which is totally fine. I'm not judging. I'm bringing it up, but I'm not judging. Right? Nah, but seriously. Those two would usually be here. Honestly, instead of these two, they would usually be there. And then maybe you have like a Denver or a Lambo Maybe Geralt in the round of 4. Nope. Today we have Rail, Harstem. I really do believe Hero Marine. And then maybe a Vanya. That would be interesting. So they're already in a little bit of the cash, but not into the points quite yet. Rail hasn't really had a super strong Shogun and DreamHack. But there's always that chance that either one of these guys will, and some of the points from these open cups will actually kind of push them over. And, you know, obviously a lot of people will start thinking about the finals, you know, Katowice. Like, obviously the points are going to make or break some people's participation in that. But more so than that, the end result, it's all about the journey there. If you have points, you're getting better seeds. And that's going to give you just a bit more of a push to actually get further and further. And that's how it works, right? It's a tiniest snowball effect that favors the people who are getting better, which is like little increments of better positioning, better circumstances. So that's usually what it's really about. And then perhaps at DreamHack Winter, we'll be talking a lot more about what it means for the Katowice finals, which I don't know anything about, guys. COVID's a bitch, and it'll probably be online, but, you know, whatever, we'll see. A couple of sentries on the way for both parties. Nexus at the same time, both going for... okay, just the sentries follow-up, actually. So no one's adding on the pylons for the proxy stalkers. Rail is going to try and get to the main base, but instant denial from Harstem. Harstem went for the safer opener of the stalkers. These babies can defend against adepts. They can tackle proxy pylons. They can be added onto if it is something that you need defenses for. 2 stalkers and then 4 and then 6. Actually a pretty good defensive setup. And they also help against any proxy oracle shenanigans, which, you know, with Rail proxying now 2 Stargates, 1 in each game. Yeah, seems pretty safe to go for stalker opener. Despite both of them proxying the first game after last game, Harstem's probably like, this guy, what's he doing with that proxy? Well, no one did anything with the proxy, and now they're both going to know that. Lots of sentries available for lots of hallucinations. Twilight Councils for both parties, but Rail actually going into a faster robo. Something that Harstem sees. I'm actually wondering what that is going to be for. You do see a lot of PvPs nowadays push off the robo as long as possible, unless you're thinking about a specific attack, like what DNS did, right? Otherwise, this would usually be a forge. So, maybe a little concerned about what Harstem is doing. His hallucination does get into the main base and sees Twilight Council done, and researching probably Blink. He actually is going to be adding on some Immortals, alright. Certainly a safer play to go for a robo faster. Yes, this stage of PvP. Hallucinations on hallucinations on hallucinations. Both going for a pretty fast third Nexus. Really nothing too surprising coming out right now. Like, they are actually scouting fairly mirrored builds, except that Rail's adding in 2 Immortals. I do think it'll just be 2 Immortals. Hallucinations. Hallucination. Oh, Dark Shrine. Finally something different. Rail's also adding on more gateways, so I was like wondering if maybe this is going to go into a Warp Prism and then into a bit of an attack on that third Nexus. Yeah, okay. I get it. I get it. So while Harstem is going into probably double Robo Robotics Bay, kind of looking towards more of the future, Rail's going to try and hit him right before those Disruptors are out, right as he hasn't been building up an army because he thinks, oh, it's just a macro game. That would be the ideal. If Harstem catches wind of this, which he's seen the robo, right? Hasn't actually seen, maybe he saw the warp prism pop out, I'm not sure. But anyways, if he catches wind of this, then shield batteries go down, he actually is warping in stalkers, and it's not as big of a deal. But Harstem might have been a little late to that scout. Rail is doing the push. And the warp prism is just coming in behind. Hallucination wants to scout this, but isn't moving. Well, Pylon scouts it, so there you go. He was already concerned about it. A shield battery is here, but not too much else. It's actually getting an immortal as well, because his robo only just finished. Certainly wasn't going to be on his way to Robotics Bay. But certainly isn't now that he sees a big old attack in front of his face. DTs are being warped in. Looks like offensively off the right side, maybe using them for harassment. Maybe they can come back and help defensively, though, if they are needed. Harstem's one immortal joins the party. Doesn't seem like a terrible hold right now. Overcharge is still available. More shield batteries are on the way, and the DTs are walking their way across the map into Rail's third, which has no defenses whatsoever. Harstem's Dark Shrine time actually going to really help him out here. Here's the overcharge to help his stalkers. 20 stalkers for Rail, like it's only the 14 of Harstem. But the DTs are going to start mixing things up. One in the third and one in the natural, and Rail's going to take some catastrophic damage. I believe a recall's going to have to be used. I mean, he's pretty much all in. Alright, he's going to go for the all-in. That means like every single probe is going to go down. Aggressive blink forward on top of one immortal. Catches the reinforcing immortal as well. Bit of a 2-for-1 deal there. And Rail wants to end this game right here, right now. He's got an observer on his side of the map, so he's not going to be able to do emergency DT defense. That blink forward there from Rail was pretty clutch. The 2 mortals going down, and then a counter blink to the left to protect his own immortal, saving one of them, saving his warp prism as well, which is way over the side of the field. And Rail has taken a dominating army supply lead, and then even maybe not denying the immortal, but still able to grab it very, very easily. He's denying the shield battery, I guess. For Harstem scrambling. He's trying, man. Those DTs are supposed to be what brought him back into this game, what gave him breathing room, and instead Rail decided to go for the attack. Cutthroat really is describing this guy in this PvP. An aggressive blink forward once again to the high ground. A couple of Zealots getting some good swings, but I don't know it's going to be enough. Both of them losing out on so many probes. If Harstem could get any type of army, if he could have crunched out an observer and then sniped Rail's observer, that could have been the ticket to win. But without it, Harstem just did not have an army supply to match Rail. GG. A very risky decision from Rail, but it worked out. 3-0. Damn.